Okay, let's talk about email tips. Hopefully you can still see my screen there. This is basically I'm going to take you through a few different configurations and a few recommendations that we have when creating emails. So just little tips to hopefully improve the way things work for your email. So let's have a look. I'm going to talk about using identifiers. Now, identifiers are really useful. So these are identifiers that are unique to a booking or unique to a course. And they can be external identifiers that you might reference for a customer, or they could be internal references. And you can use those to make links. And I've got a few examples of how you can make some pretty cool links for trainers or for other course administrators so they can quickly get to the right information. Even for customers, so they can go and update their documents. And you'll probably find that, that some of your configurations already use this. I'm going to show you how to email trainers. I'm going to show you how to use some of the variables to employ marketing messages into your emails that you send out. And then I'm also going to talk about links to extranet processed step forms. Now, we've already done that, actually. If you happen to have set up any assessments, you'll be familiar with setting up some extranet process step links. They are usually on the path, and they're extranet forms that might be assessments to be carried out by a particular student or groups of students. And I'm going to talk to you quickly about SMS messages as well, and then sort of open the floor up to any questions you've got about configurations you've been thinking about, but maybe need a bit of guidance. So more than happy to talk about those. Okay, so identifiers. So identifiers help quick reference to records. They basically help you quickly get to a document, quickly get to an enrollment, quickly get to a course date, those sorts of things. And Course Sales actually has the ability to look up by ID for document and look up by ID for course dates. So if you have these references, it helps you. It also helps the customer because it's a consistent trail between the documents that you send, say or rather the PDFs that you send out, like your certificates, your statements of attainment, your record of results. Also, your emails can all include the same reference ID. And so that can assist the student in being able to know what identifier they should be looking at when they want to speak to you about what's going on for them. Okay, so here we go. We've got a few different ones in here. We've got a document external reference ID. Now that's that sort of 8 to 10 letter and number identifier. We've also got an internal reference ID. Now this internal reference ID is actually just a numerical value, and that numerical value was used within Course Sales as distinct from the external reference ID. And it can be used to quickly get to the documents by generating a link to get to them, which I'll show you in a moment. You've got some others that are generated outside of Course Sales but can be inputted into Course Sales. So this unique student identifier, that can be used. Also the document source ID. Now the document source ID is actually something that's used if you happen to be connected to Moodle or some other learning management system. There's another ID kept within Course Sales, which is called the document source ID. And that can allow you to have a direct connection with the any enrollments into a learning management system that you happen to have. So in reality, unless you're using Moodle or something like that, you're probably not going to use the document source ID because it's not going to exist in the system. You don't have access to it. It's something that's stored internally within Course Sales. And there are risks, of course, to using things like the unique student identifier, just so you're aware, because the unique student identifier, when we initially receive it, it's probably not going to be correct. Or rather, we don't guarantee that it's correct until it's been verified. So we don't really know it properly until we've verified it. And even then, USIs, unique student identifiers, they often get expired or they get changed. You'd be surprised how often unique student identifiers, while they're meant to be unique, they're often not unique. And while you'd expect them to remain present all the time, they do not remain present all the time. They do get deleted and changed. And we've also got course date. So there's a course date ID. There's an internal course date ID, and that is one used within Course Sales to look up that course date. There's also an external ID. Up until recently, when we didn't have a clear reference to the date, to the time, start times for courses, we were using the course date external ID. Now we can use the dates that appear on the topics So we don't need to use the course date external ID. Now, where the course date external ID can work is if you're interfacing with a separate system. So let's say, for example, you are running an e-commerce system with a system that course sales doesn't interface with, you can use the external ID to do that. Alternatively, if internally you have some sort of unique code, and often people have the date in some sort of format, then a thread of the code that represents the location, and then maybe a thread of the code that represents the trainer or something like that, some sort of string of characters and numbers that represents your courses, then that can be the external ID. And that appears not just on the list, so when you're looking at the list of the courses, you can see it, but it also appears in the registration list as well. It's printed in the registration list. So there's quite a few different places that the course date external ID appears and can be quite useful. So that's another one you can use. And these can be included in emails. You can include these in emails, you can include them in PDFs. These are variables that are all relevant and easy to use. So here's some examples. Let's say, for example, you wanted to tell your trainer, this is your course coming up. You can link directly to that course by creating a link. You can see the link here, and it has a whole lot of words and stuff in it, but effectively this shows you view course documents, document course date ID, and then that's the number there. You've actually got access to that number. So you can put a link in your emails that go directly in the trainer portal to the course that's relevant for the trainer. So that's pretty handy. So it just helps trainers, rather than go into your trainer portal, search for your course, go into this link, and then you've got your list of participants, they can go straight to the course date, which is pretty handy for them. So in this case, this 85603 is the system variable, and that's it there. You can do the same within the admin portal. So if you wanted, for example, to have an email that's sent to your admin when a course is set up, or reminding somebody to go in and do something, let's say someone who doesn't go in frequently, like maybe a financial manager, for example, you can send them a link directly to the course date in the admin portal. So they click on this, they log in, and they go straight to the course date. So again, this can be ways of communicating with internal staff so they can quickly get to the places they need to go to. And the final example in generating links and using these external IDs or using these identifiers is the document, getting the document updated by the customer. So you can see this is a bit more complicated because it's got a couple of variables. You can see here we've got the process step ID. Now that represents whatever process step you want the student to now carry out. So we use this, for example, when we're sending out requests to update the documents when students have got their USIs incorrect. So in this case, we use the process step ID for the USI, I think it's a USI reminder response step. So the USI reminder response step, we get the process step ID and add that here. Then we include the document external ID here. And because this is effectively a randomized number that's very hard to guess, there's a level of security here to ensure that not anyone can just go in and make modifications to that. You've actually got to have this specific ID, this unique identifier here to be able to get to the right spot. So that's a way to get the customers to update their documents. And you can do very clever things like we do with the USI. You can include another form that gathers different information from the customer. So it's a pretty clever way of being able to communicate with the customer and build up the data that you need from the customer. The other way we use this is a two-step booking process. So we'll actually have an initial booking process, which just gathers name, first name, last name, email address, maybe payment methods. We receive that and we send them a link that includes a link like, we send them an email rather that includes a link like this, and it takes them to the next step, which actually then gathers all their eventness data, copies in the data that we have already on file, and then it asks them to complete the remainder of the eventness data, such as USI and things like that. So it's a pretty useful way of gathering information from the customer. So emails to trainers. So emails to trainers from a student trigger. So we've got instances where, for example, as a student enrolls, and this is particularly for subcontractors. So if you've got a trainer who's a subcontractor and you want the subcontractor to know about the enrollment that's just occurred, you can trigger an email that goes to the subcontractor when they enroll, and you can send notifications saying this student's enrolled. In fact, you can send, and you can say this student's enrolled. Click on here. This is the course they've enrolled in. You can have a link directly to the trainer portal showing them the course state that they've got, and even linking directly to the document for them to be able to see who that student is in the trainer portal, which is pretty handy. Trainers might need to alert the admin when they've completed their courses. So if a trainer has to let you know, or a subcontractor has to let you know when a course has been completed, right, I've done all this work, they can actually you can actually use these links to create a notification to the trainer, and the trainer then clicks on that link and informs the admin to let the admin know, hey, this work's been done. I've completed this course now. It's ready to be invoiced, or these are how many people attended. These are the things that happened on the course. You can even gather information from the student when you do that. So you can link the trigger to the course date or the document. So remember, it's not just student workflows that can have these emails and these links sent out. You can also do it from a course date point of view. And managing from a course date point of view means that you're managing the trainer and the venue, things that are related to the course that don't really depend on individual students. They don't require a document. They are activities that are carried out by the administrator to send out emails and send out communication to the various people that are involved with making sure the training course is successful. And we can get, like I say, get information using external forms, and we can link directly to the trainer portal as well. So we can link directly to the trainer portal, as I showed you a few moments ago. So I'm going to show you a few of these, but before I do, let's get into a few other ways. Another way you can maximize the use of these emails that get sent out is you can include marketing messages. Now, marketing messages could come from lots of different places. I've got a customer at the moment, for example, an RTO who wants to be able to notify their students about some COVID-19 responses. So COVID-19 activities that are going on need to be communicated to the customers and communicated in the emails that are sent out. Some sort of a little alert in the email. And this is easy to do. And you can do it in different ways though. So it depends on what sort of communication you want to make with your customers. If you want to make a communication that's dependent on the course category. Now this might not seem obvious, but if you're doing online courses versus face-to-face courses, you probably need to have a COVID message that's to do with face-to-face courses, not with online courses. So in that instance, I think course categories might be the way to go. But then again, that doesn't give you the flexibility. So you might want to keep that in mind as we go through the different options. So course categories, you get to edit the form, including the edit the form on the course category. So course categories under options have a form, and there's information stored on that form, and that can be included in the emails. So you can basically include the same field from the course categories, but a different message comes up depending on the course category that that student has enrolled in. So did you get that? So what we've got is we've got a situation where we want to maybe vary our message depending on the course that the student is enrolled in. But we need to be able to very easily include that content in an email. We can do this because we have one field that's on a form associated with a course category, and we include that field in the email. And then what we do is we go into each of the course categories and we add different content in. Okay, I'm going to show you that in a moment. Okay. Another option is to use course descriptions. Now, course descriptions are much more flexible because course descriptions can vary depending on the course date. So not just the course category, but actually the course date as well. So every course could have a different message. And you may want to, for example, include a message to a particular course date to let them know that, you know, due to the holiday, we won't be coming in on the next day, we'll come in on the day after, something along those lines. You might want to provide a particular message to a particular course date. Maybe you've got a schedule of some construction works that are going on outside the training venue. Maybe you've got some extra information you want to give to them about this particular course. And for that reason, it's best off including a course description. You can change the course description on a per course date basis. So you create a special course description for that course date, include the information you need, away you go, and that information will be included in the emails that you send out. And then finally here, we've got the branch. So the branch actually allows you, and you can use all of these as well. You don't have to use just one of these methods of including information. You can use the whole lot. And if you don't want to say anything, just don't include anything in the value in the field, right? So the branch. Now in the branches case, we might want to include a message across all of the courses. So maybe there's a message to be given to all of the students across all of the courses. So if we're going to use the branch to do that, that's a really good way of doing it. We actually already do use the branch, in particular for emails, because at the branch level, we include signatures, email signatures. And at the bottom of every email, we include an email signature. That comes from the branch. Nothing to stop you having another field there, which actually then communicates something else entirely to all of the different, all the times you send an email out to the customers. So I'm actually going to stop there because this is quite a bit of information for you to gather. So I'm going to get you to just touch base with me, and let's just find out what the understanding of this is, or whether this is making sense. So so Kim, do you mind if I unmute you for a moment and just let me know if I've sort of gone too fast, or whether this is comprehensible? I don't know if I can unmute you. I'll try. Oh, there we go.
Hey, Scott.
Hey there.
Yeah, getting my head around most of it, it makes sense.
Yep.
Just a matter of, in the various aspects of having to use it, that I'll get more familiar with it. So
okay, cool.
It should be okay.
Okay, cool. So I want to show you this now, actually. Look, I think this is a pretty powerful part of course sales, to be able to, tease information from different places and assemble it in the way you want to use it. And so I'm going to show you it now, because I know there's also somebody who wants to watch this video as well, who's pretty keen on this as well, who hasn't managed to attend. So I'm going to go into it now. Let's just touch base with Stacey and see how she is. So just a moment, I'll just mute you, Kim, and then we'll.
Hi, Scott.
Hey there. So how do you go specifically around that, sort of using the course categories and the branches and things like that?
Yeah, that's all good.
You're good with that? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll just go into it now, just to quickly give a bit of a demo, and maybe some questions will come up. I'm more than happy to answer questions too. So let's just go into the content and look at an email. I'm actually going to open up a few different, let's just open up one of these emails. Let's say initial registration, say. Let's open that one. I'm going to click on. Okay, so look at the email body. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. So when I talked about using the branches, I'm going to open up another, there we go, another tab here, which is going to look at the branch. Just clicking on that edit, and I'm going to open up the head office, click on the edit button for this. Okay, so at the moment here, you can see I'm editing the branch field, and as an example, I have the email signature here. This is an email signature, and if I go back onto this tab, I'm going to have a look here, and this here represents that email signature. And I can double check that. I can do it a few different ways. I'll do it this way. I'm going to click on fields. I'm going to choose branch. I'm going to choose signature. And you can see here, grabbing the decoded version in there. So I haven't actually got the decoded version. I don't know why that is. I can just include the decoded version in there. Doesn't seem to make much of a difference because there's no real decoding going on for this one. You can see there it's using the same number. It's the 26971. So it's the same field. So that's pretty cool. So we're using that. Now, what I can do is if I go back into this option here, you can see here, if I've got a few different variables here, but this is a form, right? So if I want to edit this form, I can click on forms. I'm not going to go into detail of how we do all this whole forms editing, but I'm just going to quickly show you. I'm going to search by record type options. So I get the options forms. And there we go. There's the branch options form. Just click on the edit button there. And now I'm going to, at the bottom, because it's a good place to put things, I'm going to click on the plus button here. And that's allowing me to add an extra field. I'm going to click on that plus button, which is going to allow me to add a field. And I'm going to call this marketing message for all. I'm going to say here, because I know I'm going to put it into the branch, so I'm going to mention the branch as well. And I'm going to take away that branch bit here. So this is the label that's going to appear on the form. And I'm going to make this an HTML field. And I think that's it. That's all I have to do. I'm going to click on add. Now I copy that name. In fact, I'm just going to go back in there because I think I made it 50%. Oopsie daisies. Let's choose to add it in first. Now I'm going to click on the pencil to edit it because I just realized I made it only 50% and I want it to be 100%. Click on save again. Okay, so that extra field's in there. I'm going to go save and preview. So we're going to have a look at it. There we go. There's an email signature and there's this marketing message for all that I just added in. Okay, now I'm going to publish that. Now that wouldn't have been available previously, but it's going to be available now, and I can include this now, and I can put that marketing message. I can put it right at the top if I want to. So I might want to include a marketing message just there. I'm going to click on fields, and now I'm going to choose branch. I'm going to type in marketing. There we go. There's my marketing message for all. Put that there. I just dragged it across. I don't know if you saw that, but what I did is I selected it and I just, oops, daisy. I selected it, do it again, and I just dragged it across. I didn't do any copying and pasting, I just dragged it across, which is pretty handy. It's a pretty quick way of being able to assemble these nice and quickly. So that's where that marketing message is going to appear. So I click on save now. Okay, so that email is updated, so I'm all honky-dory there. Now if I go in, and if I want to, at the moment I don't have that there because I've got to edit this option again. Click on close. If I go and edit the branch again, bingo, I've got access to this marketing message, and I can say, we have a discount on our marketing training courses. Get $50 off. There we go. So now that message, I can update that whenever I want, and I know that from now on, at the top of that email, that's my marketing message. On all the emails that I've added that field to. So if I go into all of my emails and add that marketing message, I know that no matter what people receive, they're going to get that marketing message. And if I don't want to put that marketing message in there anymore, I just go in there to head office, edit it, and I just remove it. And then I don't have anything there. So it's a really good way, that's across all of them. Now I want to, for example, have the same field, but I want different messages to customers. If I want to do it that way, again, I can go into the publish, into options. Let's now have a look at the course categories. I'm going to click on this little pencil here, tree view, course categories. I've got all these different course categories. I'm going to click on the little cog there and edit them. You can see I've got a number of different fields in here already that I'm using or not using, but I don't have a marketing message. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to go to forms. I'm going to filter by options. I'm going to choose course category here. Click on the edit button. Look at my form here. I'm going to add one down the bottom again. Click on this plus button. Add an extra field in. I've already copied that, so I'm going to put it down here. Messages for, and this time I'm going to say messages for courses. And then I'm going to put course category. Okay, so I'm going to copy that again. Always handy to copy the stuff as you go along so you can keep things consistent. And I'm going to make this an HTML. This time I'm not going to forget to make this 100%. Click on add, paste that in there, select it, save and preview. Now when I look at this form, you can see here I've got this marketing message. It's ended up in Moodle data, so I can make a few modifications there by putting it in its own box or just putting a new box there, and that'll make it not be, there you go. So it's a marketing message for courses. I click on publish. This is now published and available. And I have to update my email though. So if I go into publish, click on content, filter by email, and I might want to put it in that initial message. So you might actually want to daisy chain these together. You might want to have this message right beside the other one. So we have a broad message for everybody, and then we have the course category message as well. But I'm going to add it right at the end there so that if I don't contain anything, I'm not bumping up lots of space, because each of these might include a new line. And if I have too many of these records all together, we're going to have lots of new lines. So I'm going to put in the field here. And now I've got to go to course category. Let's type in marketing message. There we go. Put that there, close that, save. And now what I've got is an email that's going to include both my message for all of the courses, plus now I've got this option of including a message on a per course basis. So let's go in here now. Again, a Bachelor of Design. So this is a Bachelor of Design. I might want to talk about particular Bachelor of Design courses. So I'm going to edit this and say design. Oh, how about this? Marketing is very important for those who do design. It can help with selling to clients. There we go. How's that? That's pretty smart, isn't it? So now I've got a situation where I know that I'm coordinating my messages, but I'm adding a very targeted message to those people who have done design. They're not just getting any sort of advertising, they're getting particularly targeted advertising to encourage them to maybe to look at a marketing course, which is a pretty smart thing to do. Now, finally, I'm just going to show you the last one quickly, which is course description. So let's go into content again, and let's filter by course description. So here we go. Here's that Bachelor of Design course again. Now I might want to create, maybe I've got a particular message for a course that's coming up. I'm going to add based on this content. So I've got the content in here, but maybe I'm going to talk about the fact that this is being delivered by a particular trainer. In fact, let me just remove it out of there. I'm going to put it into section 2. I'm going to say, this course is being delivered by our star trainer, trainer from Italy. Be sure to book fast. Okay. So I put that, I'm going to put that in here as well, because it's a sort of message that I want everyone to know. So that's section 2. If I click on add now, or if I want to change the name, you see how it's got the same name? I want to make sure, oh, that's not the right one. I want to make sure I can distinguish them. There we go. So I'm going to add star trainer there, just so I can tell the difference between them. Okay, so now I'm going to see if I've got a course scheduled. I'm hoping that I've got a course scheduled for that. Bachelor of Design. I'll open it up. Great. Okay, so you see this course here, for example, this one on the 6th of May. I can now go in here and edit this. And I can choose to have the star trainer description. Okay, so now that star trainer description is available. And now I go to my emails. And if I go into my emails, let's go back into that initial registration email. Because maybe initial registration doesn't mean they've actually paid. So this is a way of giving them sort of an upgrade or a reminder. And I might put that somewhere else. I'm going to put that here. Again, I'm clicking the fields. I'm going to go to course descriptions. And I'm going to use content long 2, which is that section 2 content. There we go. Now, because I've got that there, if I haven't put anything in section 2 on any other course descriptions, nothing's going to be printed. Okay, so it's only going to be printed for those courses that have something in the section 2 content. So now I've basically created a marketing message that can be tailored for the individual based on the criteria of the courses that someone's booked on. And I'm actually providing now a tailored message for someone if they happen to be booked on a particular course date or interested in a particular course date. So I don't know if you can think of ways that you guys could potentially use that. I mean, marketing is one of them, but you know, COVID, I guess, is another. Anyone want to volunteer any suggestions on how you might want to use that in your training organization? Feel free to unmute yourselves. I guess maybe it's a new thing. Maybe it's okay. I'm sure you will find ways to use this. If you don't, just let me know and I will give you assistance in finding out ways to do this. So let's get back to the slides now, see if we can get through the other content. Okay. So those are the marketing messages and any other messages as well that you want to convey. That's all right. The phone calls come in. It's okay. It's a long session, so I understand. So extranet links. So you can link to extranet forms. You can do this using assessments. Okay, so you can use assessments, and that's quite common, particularly if you're delivering first aid training courses or some of those courses that use the assessment plugin. And by creating assessments, these can be sent to students using those extranet links. Okay, so you include those extranet links in those emails to the students. You can also gather feedback using these extranet forms, and these extranet forms are specified on the process path, and they basically allow you to gather information about what your students thought of your training courses. So all those paper-based forms you could be doing using course sales by just setting up setting up an extranet form and including a link in the email to the student. And then finally, you might want to get confirmation. You might want to ask trainers or students to confirm that they've received the information you've sent. You might want to, if you're sending useful and valuable and essential information, you could say, right, could you please click on the link to confirm you've received this? And that can update a step within your processes to know that actually the student has received this information, and therefore you can proceed to the next step. You've carried out your duty of being able to make sure they've got the information they need to carry out their courses, okay? So that's using extranet forms. Now, extranet links, they're pretty easy. You just have to basically go onto documents and search for extranet. That's all you have to do. And then you'll get a big list of them. These are the ones that are relevant to you because they are linked in your process paths. And then you can basically just grab that link, grab that ID, and it will automatically include the link in the email when it gets sent to the student. Pretty easy to do that. So extranet links, just to explain how it works, a link is sent in an email. This contains an extranet link. Click on that, and the extranet form, which is on the step of the extranet link, that gets displayed. When the person submits that, then step 2 is applied. Okay, and it's the same way that the assessments work. This could be an assessment, for example, and it gets applied. For assessments, we do a few other checking things. We make sure that, for example, the student has passed, and we apply those different rules associated with passing on a form. So finally, setting up SMS. So this is SMS gateway text messages. And if you want to do this, you definitely need an SMS gateway. And this is an email to SMS gateway. So it turns your email messages into SMS messages. And so those emails tend to be in the subject line. So the subject line tends to be what's sent as the SMS message. You can use a variety. There's SMS Global, SMS Gateway, Twilio. There's a whole variety of different SMS gateway services out there. Most of them work pretty much in the same way. You email them something in the subject line and they send it to the mobile number of the email address that you sent them. Usually the email address is composed of something like 614-2424-0684 at, and then sms dot, say, smsglobal.com or something. And they debit your account because it comes from your email address. You've got to set up a mobile phone field on a form. I'm going to show you that in a moment. Then you're going to put the email address in to receive the messages and add the message that you want sent to the student in the subject. You can include links, and you do have the option to shorten the links as well. So you can make the most of your SMS character limits, because I think you've got a limit of around about 250 characters or 160 or something like that. So yeah, there's a bit of limit to that. And then you've got to make sure you send using a role with internal type email to SMS. So you can set those up pretty easily. Make that work. Okay, so here we've got in the organization, the license company form, you've got this option, like I say, to enter an SMS address box. So in this case, we're using UTbox. So it's just at sms.utbox.net. So that's your email address that you would use without the first bit. The first bit is the telephone number. So, and we have to know the telephone number by specifying the internal type for the telephone number field. Okay, specify the internal type, and then we can send an SMS message to that individual. Okay.